Hi, welcome to this SQL tutorial video, and today I'm going to do a demonstration of nested selects within selects. I'm going to do a demonstration, an example that's possibly not the most practical example, but it will show you kind of how you set up nested selects, the rules and the logic behind them. So let's begin. I've got my AdventureWorks database open here, and I'm going to do a select from the sales order table. So sales order header, give it an alias, and what I'm interested in seeing is the ID, the number, and the order date. So if I do that, we're going to get 31,000 records, as you can see. And I'll just give it a condition and say where sh dot order date between okay, so I've got a subset of orders there. Now, if you think about a table is just columns and rows. I've got this select here, and it's returned, the results here are columns and rows. So because of that, we can treat this select like a table. So we can say, instead of saying select star from my table, we can do select star from my select. So let me just wrap this up and say select star from. Now I've got this select here that I've just ran. If I now put that in brackets and give it an alias, I'll put IJ for inner join, or in fact I'll call it NS for nested select in this example. So I've got select star from, and then in brackets I've got this select, which is returning this data that we've got here. Oops. And I've given it an alias, and if I execute that, it will return me the same data. But it's not selecting simply from the table anymore. It's selecting from the results of another select. And it's important kind of to remember that these are two separate selects. Okay, so if I just do that, just to make it a little bit clearer. So we've got one select that returns this, and one select that returns this. And in fact, what I could do is I could get rid of that. I'll comment that out. Now I want to get everything back. If I run that, I want to get everything. 31,000, and if I run that, it's running the same thing. What I can do now is I can say I've given it an alias of NS, so I can say NS dot, and it tells me the columns that I've got available to me. So within here, within this select here, I've got all of the columns within sales order header. But within this outer select, I've only got the columns that are in the inner select, which are those three columns. So when I do NS dot, I just get those. NS dot, sales order ID, NS dot. Returns me the same stuff, although in a different order because I've changed the order. Now if I add another column here, and I'll add that, I now have that available to me in here. Credit card ID, because it's now a column within this result, and I'm selecting data from this result, the output of this result. So now I've got that credit card available to me. I can select that and I can run that. And I've got this condition here, this where order date is between. I can have it in that there, or I can do it in here. The only thing I need to change is the alias here, because the alias, I'm in the outer select here. It doesn't know what SH is because the SH is within this inner select. So I need to change my alias to make sense, and I can execute that. I could do something like if I do left sales order number 4. Now if I run that, I've got an error here. The reason I've got an error here is because if I run the inner select, the inner select will run fine, but this column doesn't have a column name, so I can't do a select from a set of data where all of the columns aren't aliased. So I'll just give this an alias. Now everything should work, and I now have a 5th column in here called alias. So if I run that, that's fine. It's important though to remember that you've got this select here that is independent of the outer select. Yeah. So if I run that, if I were to, well, I mean the outer select relies on the inner select because that's where it's getting its data. So if I were to say, I don't need the order date anymore, I get rid of the order date, it's going to fail because now the order date does not exist in the results. In the table or the select results NS, so the order date is no longer there. So when I try and run it, the outer select says, hold on, I'm looking for a column called the outer select says, hold on, I'm looking for a column called order date. There isn't a column called order date in my results. What do I do? So I'm just going to undo that, put order date back in, and now it's happy again. And there's no limit, as far as I'm aware, of your nested selects. I'll give it another alias. I'll call it inner join this time. So now I've got this select getting data from this set of results, which is in turn getting data from these sets of results. So this is returning 5 columns there. If I were to say, actually, no, I don't need the credit card, I'll get rid of the credit card here, that's fine. This is returning, this is, it all works fine as the columns missing, there's only 4 columns, but I hope you see it now makes sense that this outer select, the one that's called IJ, it now only has 4 columns to choose from, because this outer select isn't looking at the results of here, it's looking at the results of this select here. So when I type in IJ dot, I get 4 columns because there is only 4 columns in the direct select that's nested there. Those 4 columns. The credit card isn't there. So if I were to try and put a credit card in, it'll say, hold on, I don't know what that is. But I can put that in and it's happy with that. And until I actually, if I needed the credit card, well, I'd have to make sure the credit card was available by putting it here, and then it is available here. Now this kind of offers possible solutions to all sorts of problems that you might have. So you could, let's say, using this as an example, let me just do a quick copy and paste this data here. So I've got sales order header details and sales order details. Let's imagine that what I want to see is, I want to see my sales order details, the header details, and I want to see one example of a detail in my order. So if I just look at I'll just show the details here of each of my orders. So this order here has 7 products that have been ordered on it. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to return a couple of columns from the sales order header table, and I want to return one example of a detail item of a product that was ordered. So what we can do is this. Let's get rid of that, and let's just get sales order, sales order ID, sales order number, and order date. And now I'm leaving those dates in, but now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say get me the max hold on, I've got rid of that. No, we'll leave that as it is. Alright, so if I run that, we should get 3 columns. Then I can say, okay, select star from. And this is, I can call it SH if I want to, because this is the results of my sales order header. But I can then do, okay, inner join sales order detail SD on SH. Right, okay, in fact, I'm going to change that. I'll call that SH1. Just so you can see that SH1 exists here, not SH. I can join to this select here. I can't join to the inner select. They don't recognize each other in that way. So sh1 dot sales order ID equals sd dot sales order ID. Now what I can do is I can say get me sh1 dot order ID, sh1 dot sales order number, sh1 dot order date, and sd max sd dot product ID. Okay, so we're just going to get one example of a product ID, and in order for that to work, we're going to have to do a group by. Okay. So we've got 513 records now, which is what we expect, because we aren't showing the details now. We're just showing an example of each order with one example of a product ID, the max, using the max function. I've got to give this column a name, so I'm going to say product ID, because that's what it is. And there we are. Now I can say, okay, select star from. And this is, we'll call this SD, because it's got the sales detail with the product item on. So now what I can say is this is my select. It's going to return this data, and then I can do inner join to my products table on sd dot product ID equals pr dot product ID, and I can now say get me. Now remember, sh1 is not available at this level. It's sd that we're looking at. So if I do sh, it doesn't exist. If I do SD, that does exist. So I can get exactly the same information here. And we can get the product ID. Oops. And from that, we can say, all right, I know the product ID. Now give me the product details. So I want to see the name, product number, the list price, and the weight. So you can see how I've used my nested selects to get exactly the data that I wanted to produce the output that I needed. Sales order header, one item of a product with the product details. That's the end of this video on nested selects. I hope you found it helpful. Any feedback or questions or comments, please leave them and I'll reply. Thanks so much for your time. See you next time.